Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Football is Fixable Alright podcast. I'm James, as usual. I've got Sess and Dan with me. Hello, guys.
You're right? James as usual.
Hello,
I'm James as usual. Yeah, I'm James. Occasionally, I'm not James, but today I'm James as usual.
Wow, what an intro.
Before we get into this, by the way, guys, did you know? So Coops has been in touch, and Dan, Coops has been listening to our episode that you and I did when our apparent leader wasn't here. Dictator.
Apparent leader?
And so Coops texted me the other day, and he said, there was something I was going to say about Dan, right before I was driving in the car. I was at the gym, but I forgot what it was. And that's what he texted me. He texted me like yesterday.
Wow.
And that's it.
Just not texted you.
Wow.
Nothing would have changed.
Yeah, exactly. So there you are, Dan. So Coops is thinking about you. Oh, and then he just sent Don McLean.
So he was going to say something about me and forgot what it was. And
he didn't say it to Dan. He said it to you about Dan that he said nothing.
Yeah, well, he said he thought about something the other day, but he's forgotten what it was that he thought about.
And now we're all a cliffhanger. This is
yeah,
exactly. Anyway, then, so today we're going to be fixing the Big Six. So it's a big one. But first, how are you guys? You all right? You had good weeks?
Yeah. Well, actually, talking about the Big Six, I just want to bring something up. So I've got a friend, I know, but he's a Liverpool fan. He's also top of our fantasy football league.
Oh, Sam.
Yeah.
Do you mean Sam?
Yeah. So he's a Liverpool fan, unfortunately.
Oh,
and
dear.
we had a chat. Recently about the standards of previous generations. Let's say 70s, 80s, that kind of thing, to the standards now. And he was saying about how it's faster now, and the standards are a lot higher. There's a lot more. Everything's just more.
Just more everything.
It's just more everything. And I was trying to say to him that I don't think that's necessarily the case. I don't think they necessarily run more. I don't think they necessarily try more. I think they try as much in every generation. Even going back, 60, 70 years, they would have tried just as much.
Have you seen some of the footage? I remember seeing a 90s game with Arsenal and Chelsea. I think I showed you a few clips, didn't I, about some of the real tough challenges going in. The intensity is insane.
Well, that's the thing. Like, everything, I think, is kind of the same, apart from things like diet is different. The recovery from injuries is different because of the medication and treatments and everything.
Better. Yeah, you think.
The pitch, the ball, boots, everything is much better now, and down to a science, isn't it, to make you run faster and everything.
Yeah.
But I don't think they necessarily try harder. And I told him that basically it's as though he's saying that Usain Bolt is faster than Jesse Owens because Usain Bolt is trying harder.
Oh, yes. Every generation is just trying harder than the previous generation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it doesn't work like that, does it? I think Jesse Owens in 1936, was it? I think he tried just as hard as Usain Bolt to win the gold medal, but Usain Bolt is faster because of all of the sciences have moved on. He's
true.
Also a lot.
All progression.
It's
is
not
just
to do
down
with
to
trying harder.
Yeah,
it's the conditions, isn't it? Quite rightly, it's
completely.
The conditions these days help for maybe a faster game of football because of the short grass and, like you say, all the dietitians and stuff that's kind of come into the game. I don't think that's changed the difficult. Well, we've talked about it on previous episodes. I think football today, especially defending and various other things, isn't up to the same standard as what it has been.
No, exactly, because that means basically all the players playing now, even though we said the standards are actually really low this season, all the players playing now should be better than, say, the 99 United team, the treble-winning team. That's technically what
any
Sam would be
previous
saying.
great sides aren't as good as sides from. He sounds like a Liverpool fan.
He really does, doesn't he? Yeah.
Doesn't he? Sorry, Sam. All right. Well, with that then, let's fix Liverpool fans and the Big Six. Fixing the Big Six then. So before we start, guys, I've got something I just want to say to you. So I saw a feature it was on Sky Sports, right? And it was over the last 3 seasons, right? So it has all the kind of points tallies versus titles over the last 3 seasons. Okay. So the bit of background before I say this actually is, what is the Big Six, right? We've got it used to be the top 2 of the Premier League era, Arsenal and United, because they were the 2 teams always gunning out for the title. Then kind of Chelsea and Liverpool were kind of filtered into that. Became what's known as the top four.
Yeah, the top four.
So that was kind of the label given. And over the last sort of decade or so, it's become the Big Six, which is now included Man City, since they've been bought out and they've spent a lot of money building their team and all that kind of thing. And for some reason, Spurs. I don't understand why Spurs are in there. But we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so over the last 3 seasons, this is the points, right, of those top sides. At the very top, any guesses who won the most points over the last 3 seasons?
Over the last 3 seasons, City.
Yep, Man City. So they're on 245 points. They've won 2 titles in that time over the last 3 seasons. Second place is Arsenal, yeah, with 241, only 4 points shy, with 0 titles. Don't say anything there. Liverpool third with 232. But then out of the traditional Big Six, if we call it the traditional Big Six, those are the only 3 there, because next it's Newcastle, 197 points, that's an amazing achievement over the last 3 seasons. You have to say Eddie Howe's done a great job there. Aston Villa, 192. And then we've got Man United and Chelsea, 174, 170, respectively. And then Brighton. Just saying, Spurs aren't in there anywhere.
That's true. But
this
actually,
Big Six.
We're a lot higher than I was expecting. Man United are much higher than I was expecting.
Yeah, but also, more so than that, Dan, do you remember our yellow card rule? And
no.
Anyone speaking for more than a minute, they get a yellow card.
Yeah.
Have I been booked already?
I think you're going to have to be booked.
Ref, give me a warning. I mean, come on.
The yellow card is a warning.
You'd so get booked if this was on a field. You spoke back to the ref like that.
Yeah, that's true. But that's a yellow card, unfortunately. So don't let it happen again. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. There's no tot-up process in this game, is there? It's
no, not
straight yellow in the first few minutes.
But I will say, actually, with the whole Big Six thing, there is a big difference, and this goes out to Newcastle fans, actually, because we talk about pretentiousness of fans and everything. There's a big difference between success and a big club. We've said this before.
Yeah.
Because AC Milan, for example, they're 8th at the moment. We're not going to say that Bologna is a bigger team than AC Milan, even though Bologna's 7th. So there is a big difference between being a successful team and being a big team. We even say that Man City are a successful team, but can they even be considered a big club until they have enough history to be considered it?
Yeah.
So I would say Newcastle fans nowadays are going, well, we're bigger now than United and Spurs and stuff. Yeah, is that the actual criteria just because of recent success?
I think this is part of the problem. I think we do need a criteria, don't we? I think maybe when we get to our fixes, we have to determine what actually makes the big... Does a Big Six need to exist anymore? Do we have a Big Six now that we're seeing the likes of Forest and Villa, Newcastle break into that kind of top group?
Those teams you've just said, though, I'd argue those 3 teams are bigger clubs than Man City.
Villa, yep. Definitely. I'd say Forest, to some extent, are bigger than City in terms of their history anyway, if we're measuring it in terms of their heritage and that as well.
So I just find it interesting that City are in this Big Six, but actually they have, like, in terms of being a big club and history and stuff like that, they don't have it, do they?
It's because of recent success, isn't it? From 2012, was it? When they started winning things? I can't remember now. But basically...
That was their first title, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's within the last 15 years that they started becoming more dominant.
Because of their investment, yeah. They've become one of the richest clubs in the world. They've spent loads of money, and they've had a lot of success from it. They've had some brilliant teams, some brilliant players, brilliant football, brilliant managers. Yeah. But does that make a big club? I think I'm sure you've seen it as well, guys, the kind of comparisons of like the social media presence, how many followers you have, and unsurprisingly, we've seen a growth over the last 10, 15 years of a lot of social media channels and stuff like that. And City are up there as one of the most, with the most followers. So
yeah, I remember this from when we were kids. There were all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a lot of Chelsea fans when we were kids. Yeah. You remember that?
Yeah. And there was one Chelsea fan in our year at school, and then suddenly there were more.
Yeah, yeah. How strange. Yeah.
Let's not ask any questions.
But I mean, that's the same for you guys as well. That you guys support Big Six clubs, and I've always said, haven't I? Like, oh, what a coincidence. And I know you have your reasons for following Arsenal, James, but it's big clubs. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. You need to follow a a low-down team like me. I don't want Everton to be a winning team.
Oh, is that where?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I can just say, well, my nan is from London, okay? So that's my...
Your nan is from London.
She was from Kensington, but still, it's London.
That's like the grandfather rule, isn't it? To be able to play for another country.
Yeah, my nan didn't follow football, but she supported Arsenal when I did. But technically, I should be a Chelsea fan, I suppose, if it's Kensington. But,
oh, wow. And your dad being a
and
Chelsea
my dad's
fan.
a Chelsea fan.
Yeah.
Maybe it is in the blood.
I actually used to quite like Chelsea before Abramovich took over. Like, I remember the days of, like...
A lot of people say that.
I did.
Gianfranco
I used to go and watch them with my
Zola
dad.
players like that. I used to really like watching them, like Torre-Andre Flo, Hasselbank when he was at Chelsea.
Yeah,
I used
Jimmy
to like
Floyd,
that
yeah.
era. I liked that era of Chelsea. And then, obviously, you know...
It was tainted, wasn't it? Let's
Yeah.
be honest. It was
Yeah.
a bit tainted, and there's a sour taste with the whole Chelsea feeling now, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not that the Chelsea fans care, or at least not the new ones, anyway.
No, well, talking about not caring, Spurs being in the Big Six.
What is that about, Sess? Tell me. Why are they in
You
the
know
Big
what?
Six?
I can understand it because they're so far ahead in terms of the money, between 6th and 7th, technically, in terms of the big clubs. And they have got a rich history, and they have been a lot more successful in the Premier League era than 7th and further down. You've had the occasional rise of like Blackburn or Leicester, and they've won a Premier League where Tottenham hasn't, but you can also say that Tottenham have been deserving of things like the criteria that we say, the recent success as well as historic trophies. Not recent ones.
I mean, I think their last league title was like 1960 something. I mean,
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
it was. I think they've won 2 titles. I saw a table earlier. It was comparing because we've got the Spurs United, what's it called, the Europa League game coming up, haven't we? And it was comparing the 2 clubs in their trophy. Weirdly, they didn't put the English league titles at the top of that. It was somewhere hidden. I'm guessing it was posted by a Spurs fan.
Yeah.
But they've won it twice, the English league title.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, though, you'd probably want them to be considered a Big Six club because then it's quite funny for them to be considered a big club and not win anything. Because if they're not a big club and they don't win anything, you kind of accept that, don't you?
Yeah, if we don't beat them, then suddenly that would be more embarrassing. Whereas has Spurs bigged themselves up? I mean,
That's the thing. It's not funny when Everton don't win anything
Yeah.
because we're not considered one of the Big Six clubs anymore. But it's quite funny when it's Spurs, isn't it?
Yeah, so I mean, literally, the term Spursy is from getting so close yet not achieving a trophy.
Yeah, so if United don't win, Dan...
I will never
don't.
forgive
I'm
United
so
or
nervous.
you, Dan.
I'm so nervous. You could not have a worse opposition than Spurs in a final because the pressure is on. If you lose to Spurs in a final, you're always going to be known as the ones that lost to Spurs in a final. Like it's
Do you remember?
I'm so nervous.
Do you remember one of the Olympics? I can't remember which one it was. Like Ernie the Eel, I think they called him, in the swimming competition where everyone got disqualified apart from this one guy who didn't know how to swim, and he almost drowned basically in like 100-meter race. And it kind of feels like that with Spurs and United. They both basically fumbled their way to the final, and now one of them's guaranteed to win. So they're basically just going to fall over each other and hope one of them wins.
The fact that one of those 2 teams are going to win a European trophy and get themselves in the Champions League next year.
Yeah.
They're, what are they, 16th and 17th? Is that right, Dan? Is that where you guys are?
Yeah.
Haven't you lost like near 20 games this season in the league?
I think we've lost 18 games.
I mean,
18 games.
Wow.
Yeah.
Everton's had a fairly dismal season, and Wolves, and yet we're both above you.
Yeah.
It's just shocking. Dan, to think that you could end up getting into the Champions League and winning, and if Spurs win that trophy, I will never forgive Man United for that. Oh, there's websites, and we've referenced them on previous episodes about Spurs. How many days since the last time they won a trophy? It's in the like tens of thousands of however
That's
many.
the thing. I like Spurs, but I don't want the whole joke of Spurs not winning anything to end. I want it to keep going.
Yeah, it's just funny.
Also,
Sorry, Spurs fans.
Also, it does open the door. If Spurs win, it opens the door for mad Arsenal banter because it's been a while since you won a trophy.
Yeah, we've been more Spursy than... If Spurs win the title, then you could... winning the trophy, then you could say Arsenal have been more Spursy recently. And
that is true.
That would be just the ultimate insult.
Yeah.
I'm not having it.
Would that save Ange's career? Not necessarily career, but his Tottenham
Spurs job.
I don't think so. I think he loses his job.
Yeah, even that's not enough, is it?
No, yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing. I think a lot of people are saying that Big Six is no longer, but I think it's less to do with big sixes no longer. The top six may be no longer, I would say. Not necessarily the big six, because United overnight won't become a smaller team. They're still going to have that kind of draw globally for another generation.
United it's the brand, isn't it? And they were key to the driving of the Premier League. They really jumped onto it, and the Premier League, Sky, United, the Premier League, kind of together took the Premier League to that level, didn't it?
Yeah.
When it was publicised. United still benefit from that global commercial presence.
Yeah.
And because of that, they're always going to be really a big club, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I suppose if they're no longer going to be a big club, which big club are you going to start supporting then, Dan? Are you going to move to Man City?
Definitely not. No.
I don't know how you Glory supporters do. Like, do you just move on to the next one?
No, I'll just stick to United. They'd have to go into administration or something before I stop following them. So, yeah.
I was because I was chatting with Coops yesterday, right? And we were saying that he said he'd quite like to see Chelsea get relegated because then he could follow them, and all those kind of glory supporting fans would leave. And I said, in a way, I'd like that with Arsenal. I don't want us to get relegated, but in a sense, at least I could go and watch them more easily. Find it much more difficult to get tickets. I love the team. I want to go and support them. I was supporting them when we were finishing 8th and 5th over the last few years. Now suddenly we're challenging the top 2, and you can't get tickets. Where are all these fans coming from? You know, so in a sense, the kind of I like the genuine feel of like if you go and support a club that you can go and see, and it's more relatable. You're not just some glory supporting fan, you know?
Well, I suppose you could say from a glory hunting kind of perspective that it would be good to see Man United get relegated, so then we can actually watch them win games again.
Would they win in the Championship? I don't know. It's quite a tough league, that one.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they'll struggle a bit.
Do you know what as well? I don't think the teams like Villa and Newcastle and Forest this season as well, they're not getting enough credit. I mean, even in this episode, we talked about all the other traditional big sides, but I mean, they've done amazing to get... I know we've said the standards dropped. Yeah. You know, City and Chelsea and United all going through transitions. Spurs are terrible as well. I don't get any joy from saying that.
No.
And because of that, you might say that the Newcastles, Villas, Forest are benefiting because, but there's no doubt the standard of the league's dropped.
It has.
Also, I want to, so credit to those teams for breaking in there, though. But I do want to bring a... Oh, go on, Dan.
Sorry, I also think it's a good point to say that where the big teams have dropped in quality, the whole standard of the league has dropped. I think the quality of the Premier League relies on the top teams to be at the top of their game for the league to be in its best position.
Nope.
If you see what I mean.
Nope. Don't agree.
And also Liverpool fans with this.
I like how James is like, okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
Do you want to say what you done?
That discussion.
Yeah, no, I don't agree. All the teams could have an amazing standard, and that could be an amazing league from 1st to 20th. I don't think it needs to rely on any particular top teams, because then you'll end up with La Liga in Spain, where you end up with 2, maybe 3 top teams,
awful.
and they just end up
it's the same teams every time.
Yeah.
It's nice to have, we've got this, teams going through transition, a bit of freshens up. We've just seen, by the way, just want to shout out to Crystal Palace. They've just beaten Man City, apparently one of the big 6. And they've won their first trophy in however many years, So what an amazing achievement. So credit to them.
Yeah, I think it's isn't it their first ever major honour in the history of the club?
It's something like that.
100 years or something.
Yeah. So amazing for
incredible.
them. Just want one final quote, see what you guys feel about this. So a little while back this season, Jamie Carragher came out and said, Manchester United and Liverpool will always be the biggest clubs in the Premier League. That will never change. No matter how successful Man City and Chelsea are, those two will always be the biggest.
Yeah, see, this is something that I've always said is not true, haven't I? Because there's so many people that have, they'll always be the best, they'll never change, and it's just constant definitives. But that's not true, is it? They could go into administration, and 100 years later, Man City and Chelsea could be winning everything, in which case... Yeah, of course it'll change.
If eventually Man City, Chelsea, anyone else wins 25, 30 league titles and they overtake United and Liverpool, then they, they'll get a bigger fan base whilst doing that and so on.
United, also, there's a likelihood that for the next 30 years, United might not win a title. And imagine how many other titles that City could win in 30 years.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be fun. Well, not for Man City, though.
Well,
I don't want them.
I mean,
they're dropping off now.
take Everton for example. Like Everton, I think in the history of
what have we ever done to you?
Go on, Dan.
Hang on, let me. No. In the history of like first like top tier English football, so we're talking English League as well as the Premier League.
Yeah,
I think Everton are in the top 4 teams of points scored in the history of top flight football.
Yeah,
I think
so.
so.
True.
In terms
because we're pretty much the longest running team in the top.
I think Arsenal and Everton are both the only two, aren't they? That have always been there or something.
You've also won some titles. You used to be very successful. Everton are actually a very, very big club, or perhaps maybe were
traditionally, historically.
Yeah. So what I mean is, these big clubs can fall off. And the same can happen to Liverpool. Could happen to Man United. We could be the next Everton.
It's happening.
You know. Sorry, Seth.
I think he was talking about your team, but
definitely is happening. Spurs and United.
Yeah.
So they're definitely not in the Big Six anymore. So should we get into the fixes?
Let's do it.
Right, well, straight away then, are we excluding United and Spurs from being in our Big Six?
From the Big Six.
Is that what we're saying? Yeah.
Well, Man United are the biggest club in the biggest club in the league.
Yeah. I'm still going to say that they are still the Big Six, just not necessarily the top 6. My fix is that we should do away with this whole Big Six thing in the first place, because, like I said before with the point that you were making, Dan, I think the league actually benefits from better competition.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just because we might not necessarily have the top teams in Europe competing for the European titles, I don't really care about that. The bread and butter is the league, and I think the best thing that we had was the competition in the Premier League. You could go from 1st to 8th, and you'd have difficult games there, and then from 9th to 14th. Every time you go away to that team, you just kind of go, can we get something out of that?
You're never guaranteed. Even, I suppose you could say the standard of Reddit, it's a different topic we can get onto, but the standard of the promoted sides coming up is getting relegated again and so on. But generally speaking, you play anyone in the Premier League, you might not win. You're not guaranteed to win. I mean, was it a couple of weeks ago? Was it Man City and Southampton? Man City couldn't beat Southampton. Ruben Diaz came out absolutely furious that Southampton don't even try and play football because they ended up... Southampton fought for their lives to get a point. Yeah. I mean, Ruben Diaz didn't respect any form of, the funding, the finance, the size of the squad that Southampton has. Yeah. You could drop points anywhere in the Premier League, and that's what makes it what has been to most people the best league in the world.
Yeah.
Ruben Diaz doing his best impression of James Hammett after Arsenal failed to beat Everton earlier in the year.
Yes. That is so true. There's just so many excuses, weren't there? Oh, they didn't come out to play and all this stuff. Yeah.
Well, Everton are apparently a big club, so you guys were saying, I don't want to pick on Southampton, but Everton...
I was humble enough to say we're a historically big club, and I said we're no longer, I'm actually, like we always said, I'm the most unbiased football fan in the world, and I'm happy to admit we're a small team.
I did admit, after we got into the episode, though, that Everton, I understand their position. They had Sean Dyche as well. He's never going to really attack away from home. So I kind of appreciated, you were fighting for what you thought was going to be a relegation scrap until United and Spurs decided to jump into it. But
they really ran to the relegation zone, didn't they?
They certainly eased the pressure on your shoulders, didn't they?
Yeah. We barely did anything. We just saw them run past us.
Oh. You just found yourself very slowly jogging, but you were taking over Man City.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute.
You've been tying your shoelaces for a long time there, Spurs. Yeah.
You're tripping over this shoelaces. So what, in terms of, we're saying that the history, the heritage, that's got to be in consideration, right? But do we actually need a Big Six, based on what you were just saying, Seth?
Yeah.
Should we just see it as that there's no longer a Big Six? Is that what we're saying?
That's the thing. You look at the other generations, when Liverpool and Everton were dominating in the 80s and stuff, I'm sure, I don't really know what they called it, but they basically were just the teams that were competing at the time. And when, Nottingham Forest were up there, Villa, all that
Leeds
stuff.
have been up there, another
Leeds
big
have been
club
up there, yeah.
Recently been in the second division, the championship.
Yeah, but they've been up and down, basically.
Yeah.
And I just don't see the need in constantly labelling them this Big Six, that they somehow need to be up there all the time. I don't think so. I think it's fun when you have teams like Newcastle and Villa and Forest for a while trying to fight their way up.
Really
there.
big clubs, by the way, especially Villa and Forest. They've won European trophies. They've won the first division titles. They've got great histories.
There's just this idea that they don't really deserve to be up there, but I think they do, and I think that's good competition.
Surely your performance just judges and justifies where you deserve to be. So if United, Spurs, City, if they're falling out, and Chelsea as well, if they're falling out of the top sides, the top positions, and Forest are beating them, that's on merit, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
Especially considering a lot of these clubs don't have the same budgets.
I'd agree with that in as far that it would be great to see like multiple winners of the Premier League. Like
at the same time, that's impossible.
No, like rather
this
than
is all sounding a bit too much like communism.
Rather
Let's
than it
all
being
be winners,
between,
guys.
rather than it being between Liverpool or City all the time, or being their like dominant forces, if like it was that competitive that we could have like a Leicester more often, or like other teams come through and there could be other winners, that would be very good.
People speak of the Leicester achievement as one of the greatest footballing, if not sporting, achievements, don't they? It's a fairy tale thing. To see more of that would surely, freshen things up at the very least, wouldn't it?
Yeah, otherwise you end up like the Bundesliga, where, what was it, Bayern won 20 out of the last 27 or something.
That's crazy. And the Scottish League's very similar, Celtic and Rangers. Obviously Spain is Barcelona or Real pretty much. Yeah. Almost every season in it. So we're lucky to have a league where you don't know what's going to happen and who could win. In terms of the biggest sides, fans are always going to make these comparisons. So if I were to press you two, sorry about that.
Why would you do that?
Sorry. I won't make any contact. But in terms of if I were to ask you two, what would constitute a big club then? So in terms of what should we rethink how we consider big clubs? Do we need to? Should we say United, Arsenal, all of those clubs are kind of on the same level as Forest, Villa, Newcastle?
I don't think there's...
We don't need to separate.
For me, I don't think there's... The point I was trying to make is that I don't think there's no need to label it. I don't think there's no need. I don't think there's any need to label them.
You should have said that.
I should have, yeah. I think it just causes controversy because it just makes people go, oh, my club's a big club. No, yours isn't a big club. You haven't got the history. Oh, mine's big. Oh,
my
no,
club's bigger than your club.
Yeah, there's just no point in that conversation because what's the point? At some point, a club is going to do not as well, but then they can't get rid of the history. So in 30 years' time, if United don't win another trophy, do you keep going, oh yeah, but they've got the history, they're
it's
a big club?
It's a bit annoying, isn't it? I don't
see the point in labelling it.
Supporting one of the... I mean, obviously, Dan and I support these allegedly big clubs and everything.
Yeah.
But genuinely, though, so I can't let you guys leave this episode until we figured out how... when those fans come up to you and they say, oh, but my club's bigger than your club. Do we just do a kind of what Cesar just said? I think you're fine. There's no point.
Was that your impression of me?
That was it obviously sounded like you, didn't it? So
didn't sound masculine enough, I think. Didn't quite get my timbre.
Your timbre?
Yeah.
Wow. We'll put that in the description of the episode. Get to hear Cesar's timbre.
Yeah.
But we get it. Trust me, I see it all the time as the marketing executive of our podcast. I see it on the socials all the time. Oh, but our club's bigger than your club, or how do we engage with that? How do we need to fix this? How do fans? What do we say to these fans?
From the perspective of being the fan of a big club, I actually would rather not have the big club label because if you look at
17th.
Yeah, you don't want to be reminded.
Well, if you look at that, if you look at where we actually realistically are, we're not in that level of performance, and that's just where the club is. It's where the team are, but it's not accepted because of the status of the football club, rather than anything to do with where the club's actually at. And it would be good.
It's where you should be, in a sense, because of
exactly that. So I suppose for opposition fans, it's good that we still have that kind of like. That status, because it gives opposition fans like more of a stick to beat us with, doesn't it? So it's good for banter and stuff.
Banter.
But it's no good for
but that's what I mean.
It's no good for my club anymore. It's a negative thing, and it destroys our players. It's a negative thing on the club now, So
certainly adds more pressure, doesn't it? Where you should be performing, you're underperforming the highest level.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I mean, because Big Six doesn't necessarily mean top six. That doesn't correlate, and I think there's just no point in it. Basically, all you're saying is because of your history and kind of the reach, the money that you're making, you get to be labelled this Big Six, and then all of a sudden you're beaten with a stick if another team manages to be a bit more successful in recent years.
And I just think Chelsea and, to even a greater extent, Man City, if you get suddenly funded with loads of money, does that mean you're a big club then, does it? I mean,
yeah. That's the thing.
We've seen
the
loads
criteria
of clubs.
keeps changing, doesn't it? And that's the biggest problem with your question about like how do we fight back against people who keep claiming their club is bigger and stuff. Why does it matter? Why does it matter at all?
Yeah, but people get tribal, don't they? We've talked about this before. Oh, my club's bigger than
and
your
why
club.
do they do that? That's just really annoying.
It is annoying.
Yeah.
So in which case then our fix is tell them that they're being really annoying and to stop doing it because there's no point. That's pretty much it then.
Yeah. What changes in their lives if we say, all right, fine, Newcastle is a big club? What changes? Because that you could still lose the next game. Are you still a big
absolutely.
6 club? Are you a big 4 club? What does that mean?
Arsenal aren't a big club, even though Arsenal are the third most successful English team ever to date.
Yeah.
At least anyway. Yeah, I keep getting told, oh, you're not a big club, you don't deserve to be. You know, it's, in terms of, it is pointless. I mean, it is, like Dan says, a stick to beat us with, and I suppose that you give it, you take it, and kind of stuff.
Personally,
I don't give those kind of that argument to other fans. I'm going around big. I'm bigger than you. Or,
Yeah.
Well, I would like to.
It's just not necessary. It's not.
I would like to inflate opposition clubs as much as possible after my own experience. So inflate them as much as you can, so that they think they're a really
the pressure
big
on them.
club.
Yeah.
And then when karma hits and they decline, it will hit really hard and they'll hate it.
They'll understand what you go through,
Exactly.
basically. Yeah.
So that's my fix is to be, if they think they're the bigger club and they want to, then by all means inflate that ego, inflate it so much.
Go ahead.
I
that
kind of
it
feel like
destroys
so
them
being a
one
big
day.
club, in a sense, it's a poison chalice, isn't it? Unless you're winning things. So if you're considered a big club and you're actually winning a trophy, Liverpool this season, for example, you know, they're one of the only one team can win the league, so they're in a position where they go, oh, brilliant, yeah, we're big and everything like that. But actually, all other times it's a poison chalice then, because it's just a stick that someone else can beat you with. So let them do it. I've seen Forest recently. The pressure's been on because they're trying to get the Champions League places, and they've been dropping a lot of points under
They're
the
crumbling.
pressure.
Yeah.
You know. And Villa have dropped quite a few points as well. So actually, all right, take it then. So we're saying that one of the fixes is, well, let the other teams be the big 6 because we don't want it because it's putting more pressure on them. So
Exactly.
well, there we are then. So there is no more big 6. Well, not traditionally anyway.
Yeah.
But if the new teams, you know, that want to break into that big 6 want to be the big 6, then
Good luck to them.
good luck to them.
Yeah.
There we go. Well, there we are. Another one fixed. Brilliant. Shall we get into some fantasy football chat there then, guys? It's getting to the business end of the season, as they say.
Yeah. Let's hear John's juicy tips.
Let's do
I
it.
just wanted to say it.
Yeah, that's my line. Very juicy.
Give us your big 6 tips, John.
John's juicy tips. Yeah.
All right. Well, Bristol City didn't make it to the Premier League, and I am gutted. On the plus side, I can continue to be the most unbiased FPL guru out there, and I have some extra juicy tips for you for the last game of the season. So here they are. In defence, it's the sweet Spanish strawberry, Dean Huijsen for Bournemouth. It's his last game for the club as he's off to Madrid in the summer, and he has Leicester at home, so I'm expecting a performance and a clean sheet. In midfield, James is going to love this. It's his very own star boy, Bukayo Saka for Arsenal. He might not be in the greatest form, but he is FPL royalty due to his consistency in recent seasons, and he has a game against the second worst team in Premier League history. It's Southampton. And up front, it's Matheus Cunha for Wolves. He has a real bond with the Wolves fans, and it's probably his last game for the club, so he'll want to put on a show for them. A show that contains lots of goals. Juicy.
Thanks, John. As always, he's been a trooper all season, hasn't he?
He's getting close as well.
Have you seen how close it is?
Yeah.
We've got
Sam was getting so cocky. He was saying to me, I got this in the bag. Now he's so worried.
Yeah, you can tell. I mean, even John's getting a bit like, ooh, this is getting
Yeah.
close now. These Liverpool fans, they've just taken things. They're always,
I know. Yeah.
get too excited, don't they? But Well, John's very close. So with the league, we've got a top 2 race with Sam and John. John's our guru as well, so I don't know what we're going to do if he doesn't end up winning it.
Yeah.
Is Sam going to be our guru next year? Yeah. John, you're going to get sacked if you don't win this. So there is a lot of pressure on you. And then there's also the battle of mid-table with me and Dan.
And it's only mid-table because you were lucky enough to have 20 other people playing, so most of them probably stopped playing a long time ago.
Oh yeah, we have got like 45 people in the league or something. So, but I am getting there. I told you, if this goes on for another like 30 games, I think I'd be in the top 5. I've been on an upward trajectory.
Wow.
You know, if we
another
played
30 games.
You know, if we played for another 30 games, then everybody else also has another 30 games, James. They'll also score points. You can't just keep.
No, but that's what the point I'm trying to say. My point scoring is above the rate of many people above me. I remember I was in the bottom 4 or something at the start of the season.
Yes, yeah.
True, yeah.
Now look at me. I'm 21st.
But weren't you in the bottom 4 when we had like 30 people? So now...
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Do you know what I mean?
Look, there's no need for that. All I can say is I'm ahead of Dan now. So at point of recording, I'm 8 points clear of Dan. So I'm an extra point compared to last week, but we still got a number of games to go yet. And John is 8 points. John is also 8 points behind Sam.
Ooh, hotting up.
So this is we're on the penultimate game week of the season with a few matches still to play. This is really hotting up. And the forfeit, Dan. Ooh, the punishments will be severe.
Yeah, but...
So you better get them.
Well, to be fair, I'm in a win-win position with the forfeit now. So I'm quite happy either way.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because you get to pour the water all over whoever loses.
As the leader, yeah.
All right.
So, yeah.
As the admin assistant. You're doing the admin. That's the plan. Well, thanks, guys. We fixed the Big Sixer. That's a big one, isn't it? I mean,
that is a big one.
No one needs to worry about the Big Six
That's
anymore.
6 big ones.
As the big podcast. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought Dan said something.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
You said that's the big one.
Ended up being an awkward silence.
You said that's the big one. I said, it's 6 big ones. It was a joke. It was a 6 big one joke. It was Big 6 joke. It was.
Oh.
I did.
It's good joke, Dan.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Cheers. You can.
I love this podcast.
You can cut that out. Yeah.
No, I'll put some sort of like cricket noise in the background.
Well done, Dan. Well done.
Yeah. Does this joke go on the fridge?
All right.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Well, there we are. Well done, you two. I just want to say congratulations. We've done a good episode there. We fixed a really big thing. 6
you guys are no longer supporters of big clubs.
Oh yeah. Ooh. And on that bombshell, thanks for listening to the Football is Fixable Alright podcast. No wait, that's not what I say. What do I normally say? Hopefully we have. Oh, thanks for listening, guys, and hopefully we've reassured you that football is fixable. All right, and have a great week. It's goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.